Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton Knave. We're going to be reviewing Frank Zappa. We're doing the whole project object right the way to Civilization Phase 3. That's the plan. That's 65 albums, I think, unless I've miscounted. Just so you know when to look, these videos are out every Wednesday. Last week we did Freak Out. Today we're doing Absolutely Free, which is stellar. In the mid-60s, Zappa had already done quite a lot of stuff. He'd done all sorts of different strange projects, like he'd already done a rock opera which didn't take off, etc, etc. There's the famous, very early TV show of him playing a bike, as you do, available on YouTube. But in the mid-60s he saw a gap in the market for a type of music that was somewhere between what was then called serious music and popular music. And that's what the Project Object aimed to do. And so that led to the formation of the Mothers. But of course initially they weren't much of a success, and they were starving at one point, and they would play anything, and they were playing as a crappy bar band, really, playing average R&B at one point. So of course when they made Freak Out, they didn't know they were going to be making an album until they got there, so consequently the music isn't as realised as later stuff. With Absolutely Free, he'd sat down and planned an album here and really scored some fantastic music. It's still very rough. I'm not someone who values the Mothers particularly. It's Zappa, I think is the genius. That was just his first band, and I mean Zappa did once say that the Mothers could barely play his material, which is probably an exaggeration, maybe because they were suing him at the time. But I think to a certain extent these things are very rough around the edges because they were still learning to do it, and the production is still a bit dodgy. But I mean, this is 1967, and I think if you're a 60s-ophile, you're probably more forgiving than that than I am, because I'm very much a 70s person, so this sounds very old to me. However, the content is fantastic. So, first song is Plastic People. There is a normal version of this, the original version of this from before Freak Out, which was just essentially Louie Louie with one extra note, I think. This is not like that. There's all sorts of stuff going on here. The vocals perhaps are a bit too affected, as on the rest of the album, but it's a great piece of satire. It really is. I do like the original as well, though, when it was just Louie Louie. The whole first side siegs along, so the next song is Duke of Prunes, famous melody. Really good. I think the three tracks, Duke of Prunes, Amnesia Vivace, and The Duke Regains His Chops. That's actually one piece, really, with the middle section. Amnesia Vivace is the first reference to Stravinsky. This is his Stravinsky album. There's loads of references to Stravinsky on this one, and that's some great stuff there. But also the main melody, the vocal melody of Duke of Prunes is a really good melody, and we're really starting to hear the sound of his the Zappa melodic style, which comes from Edgard Varese and Stravinsky and things like Bartok and all stuff like that. I don't think that's really so evident on Freak Out. So anyway, we want to Call Any Vegetable. Quite a famous song, this one. Probably should have been a single. At the time that would have probably seemed crazy because there's some mad time signatures in there. I think it's 4-4-4-4-4-4, and then there's an 8-8, and then it goes like 7-8-9-8, 7-8-9-8, something like that, and then 7-8, 5-8, 6-8, 7-8. 7-8, 5-8, 6-8, 7-8, something crazy like that. What was probably my favourite thing on the first side is Invocation and Ritual Dance of the Young Pumpkin, which is where the band get to play. Now I think significantly by this point, because he's had an album, he could afford more musicians and probably afford better musicians, I think, really. So the introduction of a keyboard player, saxophonist and a second drummer meant that they could really play now, and there's some great playing on there. The little bit of Jupiter at the start that speeds up, that's brilliant. So it's not just Stravinsky, we get Holst as well. And then we have Soft Cell Conclusion, which concludes the first side. Really good stuff. Another reference to Stravinsky, actually. On the CD version, we've got two bonus tracks which are kind of on the first side, although obviously it's one piece. Big Layama and Why Don't You Do Me Right. These were an attempt at singles, in the same way a lot of Freak Out was a parody of R&B. This is a parody of single material, but a real attempt to have success. And I tell you what, they're really good. They've just got much more weight behind them. They're much more sort of dirty rock songs than the lighter stuff on Freak Out. There's no reason why they wouldn't have been a success. They could have well been a success. So that's the end of the first side. The second side, the Mothers of Invention American Pageant, as it's known, starts with American Drinks. This is Frank's parody of the sort of miserable bars that the Mothers had to play, playing bland R&B. And I tell you what, some of the affected voice at the start, that sounds like Homer Simpson to me. Now I know Matt Groening is a big fan of Zappa, and although Matt Groening didn't necessarily invent the voice of Homer, to me I think there's a link there, I really do. So that's interesting. And it introduces a melody which comes back later. Stacy's Back Baby, with yet another reference to Stravinsky. Great bit of playing. Uncle Bernie's Farm, a little bit fillery, nice tune, it's alright. Son of Suzy Creamcheese, very short but very intense bit of playing. It's so tight, which leaves the last two tracks. Penultimate song being Brand Shoes Don't Make It. Here it is a collage. He's had to edit things together in the studio, partially because I don't think he could have got the band to play it all in one go. But it's got sections of orchestra and things in there as well. It's an amazing piece of music. There is a live version much later that's on the Tinseltown Rebellion album, which is better. I think overall a better performance. You haven't got the orchestral bits so much, obviously, but being played all in one and being played better, more tightly, means it works really well. And the song is about this sort of repressed American psyche of all these people supposedly offended by things so easily are secretly repressed and secretly craving disgusting things that other people do. Which leaves the final track, America Drinks and Goes Home, is a parody of a bar band playing almost like 50s, 40s music. And the thing is about it, it's really good. It's not just a parody, you're not just supposed to laugh at it. It's an enjoyable listen, which is interesting. So that's absolutely free. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.